What was supposed to be a night of celebration turned into a nightmare that shook hip-hop to its core. Takeoff, the 28-year-old Migos star, didn't step into danger. He was an innocent bystander enjoying a private gathering hosted by J. Prince Jr., son of Houston rap royalty. But one reckless decision, one swing of a hand at a dice game, ignited chaos that ended with Takeoff's life. The world watched as grief collided with fury, and no words captured it more than J. Prince Sr.'s haunting declaration, "I wish that bullet would have hit him instead of Takeoff." A father's heartbreak turned into raw rage against the man he believed lit the fuse of tragedy. Meanwhile, viral clips and social media twisted the narrative. J. Prince Jr., walking past Takeoff's lifeless body, was painted as cold, uncaring, and complicit. Conspiracy theories exploded, linking the Prince family to the shooting, despite their insistence that it was an outsider who caused the death. Then came a legal twist no one saw coming. The man charged with Takeoff's murder, Patrick Xavier Clark, hired lawyers deeply connected to the Prince family, raising questions that blurred the line between defense and influence. This story isn't just about a shooting, it's about power, legacy, grief, and the haunting optics of tragedy. A father mourning, a son defending, a world watching, and one life ripped away in seconds. As the court date looms in November 2026, the truth remains tangled in rumors, accusations, and heartbreak, leaving fans and the hip-hop community desperate for answers. The night Takeoff died wasn't just a loss, it was a collision of fate, family, and fury. Takeoff's life ended before most could even comprehend what had happened that night in Houston. Known offstage as Kersnick Carey Ball, he was only 28, yet already a towering figure in hip-hop as one-third of Migos alongside his uncle Quavo and cousin Offset. The group, formed in 2008, had taken the world by storm with hits like Versace, and their 2017 album Culture cemented them as global icons. Takeoff wasn't just a rapper, he was the backbone of Migos sound, the quiet technical genius whose flow and cadence were essential to their identity. Weeks before that fateful night, Takeoff and Quavo had released Only Built for Infinity Links, a collaborative project that showcased their tight chemistry and lyrical prowess. The October release was meant to mark a high point, yet just a few weeks later, tragedy would rewrite everything. The gathering in Houston was meant to celebrate J. Prince Jr., son of Rap-A-Lot Records founder J. Prince Sr., who was being honored with a surprise Jazz Prince Day by the city. Approximately 40 guests attended, including Takeoff and Quavo. The private after-party took place inside 810 Billiards and Bowling on San Jacinto Street, a venue chosen for its exclusivity and connection to the Prince family. Initially, the night was calm, friends joking, playing basketball, and enjoying the rare mix of hip-hop royalty and close-knit family. But around 2:34 a.m., a dice game on a balcony escalated into chaos. An argument broke out, seemingly small, yet one that would end with gunfire. Witnesses reported hearing multiple shots, and surveillance footage captured the rapid sequence of events outside the venue. Takeoff, who had no involvement in the altercation, was hit multiple times and pronounced dead at the scene. Autopsy reports confirmed penetrating wounds to the head and torso. His death was ruled a homicide. 2 other attendees sustained non-life-threatening injuries. The shooting left Houston and the hip-hop community in shock. Police confirmed Takeoff was not the intended target, reinforcing the narrative that a momentary act of violence escalated into a catastrophic loss. Quavo, unharmed, would soon face the painful reality of losing his nephew, while the Prince family, particularly J. Prince Sr., confronted a complex mix of grief, anger, and scrutiny. In public, J. Prince Sr. spoke with both sorrow and intensity. On the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, he described the events leading up to the shooting, placing blame squarely on an associate who, according to the family, provoked the chaos. Mike Prince, present that night, recalled how a night of celebration had turned into a nightmare within seconds. It really wasn't a situation to escalate, but someone made a choice, he explained. The Prince family argued that Willie Bland, a Quavo associate, had struck someone during the dice game, igniting a chain reaction that ultimately led to Takeoff's death. J. Prince Sr. did not mince words, expressing deep resentment. "I wish that bullet would have hit him instead of Takeoff, because he was the one that deserved that." That line encapsulated the raw grief and anger of a father grappling with both loss and a sense of betrayal, not by his own family, but by the choices of someone he viewed as the spark of the tragedy. Meanwhile, social media was already constructing an alternative narrative. Viral clips of J. Prince Jr. walking past Takeoff's body fueled conspiracy theories. Critics painted him as cold and indifferent, ignoring the complexities of the situation. The Prince family countered these claims, explaining that Jr. had been assisting Mike Prince in providing aid, including washing Takeoff's blood from his hands, a detail omitted in the seconds-long viral clips. Houston police launched a full investigation, collecting surveillance footage, forensic evidence, and witness statements. The first arrest came on November 22, 2022, when 22-year-old Cameron Joshua, also known as Lil Kim Fifth, was charged with unlawful carrying of a weapon. However, authorities stated that Joshua was not believed to have fired the fatal shots. The arrest that drew national attention came on December 1, 2022, when Patrick Xavier Clark, 33, was charged with murder. Evidence linked him directly to the shooting: surveillance footage, fingerprints on a wine bottle left at the scene, and vehicle data placed him at the location during the incident. Clark had applied for an expedited passport and was carrying a significant amount of cash, prompting authorities to consider him a flight risk. Pretrial proceedings stretched over years, complicated by delays, forensic scrutiny, and public interest. The Prince family remained vocal, emphasizing that the tragedy was triggered by an outsider's actions and that their loyalty to Quavo and Takeoff's family was unwavering. J. Prince Sr. repeatedly highlighted the Prince family's decades-long history of hosting and protecting artists, arguing that their reputation had been misrepresented online and in the press. Takeoff's funeral in Atlanta reflected the magnitude of his impact. A private commemoration on November 10, 2022, followed by a public celebration at State Farm Arena the next day, drew performers and fans worldwide, including Offset, Quavo, Cardi B, and Drake. His burial at Peachtree Memorial Park marked the end of a life, but the start of an ongoing public and legal reckoning. The narrative became even more complicated when Patrick Xavier Clark changed legal teams in March 2026, hiring attorneys with close ties to the Prince family. While legal experts saw the move as routine, social media framed it as suspicious, deepening conspiracy theories and challenging the Prince family's defense of innocence. Through it all, J. Prince Sr. balanced grief with defense, insisting that his family had nothing to do with the shooting while navigating the court of public opinion. He remained clear: the death of Takeoff was the result of one man's choices, a night gone tragically wrong, and a cautionary tale about how quickly joy can turn into tragedy when decisions are made in split seconds. The November 2026 trial of Patrick Xavier Clark promises to be one of the most closely watched in hip-hop history. Beyond the courtroom, the story of Takeoff's death is a story of family, loyalty, grief, and the devastating consequences of a single moment of violence. J. Prince Sr.'s words, the viral footage, the conspiracy theories, and the pending trial combine into a narrative that is as complex as it is heartbreaking, one that will define public perception for years to come. The city of Houston had barely exhaled after the tragedy, yet the storm was only beginning. Social media was relentless, replaying Takeoff's final moments, dissecting viral clips, and speculating on the Prince family's involvement. Every frame of footage became a battleground. The seconds-long video of J. Prince Jr. moving past Takeoff's lifeless body fueled countless conspiracy theories. Online commentators debated motives, timelines, and affiliations, some twisting the narrative into something resembling a full-blown scandal. For the Prince family, this was an entirely new kind of battle, one fought not in the streets or the courtroom, but in the digital age where rumors and viral clips carried as much weight as evidence. J. Prince Sr. understood the stakes. On the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, he spoke with measured fury and raw emotion. They got clips, they got angles, they don't got context, he said. Every word was carefully chosen, yet saturated with grief. He painted a vivid picture of the night, describing how he and his family stayed with Quavo after the shooting, ensuring the rapper was safe and shielded from further harm. Mike Prince corroborated this, recounting how they remained for hours, protecting Quavo and offering comfort in the chaos. "We didn't leave," Mike stressed. "We stayed. That's what family does." Despite these explanations, the online narrative continued to spiral. Conspiracy theories expanded, suggesting that the Prince family orchestrated events, manipulated witnesses, or even facilitated the shooting. WAC 100 and other industry voices amplified these rumors, connecting Takeoff's death to broader narratives of power struggles between Houston and Atlanta hip-hop circles. Some theorists even went so far as to suggest ritualistic motives, arguing that Takeoff's murder was a deliberate elimination tied to unseen industry hierarchies. The Prince family dismissed these ideas outright, but understood that perception often mattered more than fact in the court of public opinion. Meanwhile, the legal machinery continued its work. Patrick Xavier Clark's March 2026 decision to replace his legal team with attorneys closely tied to the Prince family became a lightning rod. Kent Schaefer, Anthony Osso, and Dan Cogdell were not just any lawyers. They were seasoned defense attorneys with historical ties to Rap-A-Lot and the Prince family. Social media erupted with speculation. Why would Clark choose attorneys so entwined with the hosts of the party where Takeoff was killed? Critics suggested hidden alliances or backroom deals, while legal analysts pointed out that defense strategy in high-profile cases often involves building a team with the deepest understanding of local networks and potential witnesses. J. Prince Sr., however, maintained consistency. On subsequent podcasts and interviews, he reiterated a singular point: his family had nothing to do with the shooting. The shooting was the result of a single outsider's decision, a split-second action with irreversible consequences. "We didn't shoot nobody. We didn't escalate nothing. It was done to us to take off by a man who didn't think," he said. He emphasized the decades-long history of Rap-A-Lot Records hosting and protecting artists, dismissing the idea that his family operated as some gatekeeping power structure. Even as Clark's trial approached, tension between public perception and reality escalated. Social media users dissected every detail of the case: who was where, whose fingerprints were on the wine bottle, the exact trajectory of bullets, the timing of dice rolls, the alignment of security personnel. The Prince family became amateur historians for the night, detailing step by step what had occurred to counter the simplified, distorted versions circulating online. Every statement was not just defense, it was an attempt to reclaim a narrative that had been hijacked by viral sensationalism. Takeoff's memory continued to dominate public discourse. Tributes flowed from fans, fellow artists, and family members. The Houston Chronicle and national outlets recounted his life, emphasizing his technical skill, work ethic, and role within Migos. Yet, grief was not the only thing the Prince family carried. There was a shadow: the dual responsibility of mourning a young life while defending their own. J. Prince Sr. described the paradox in interviews. "I'm heartbroken for Takeoff, but I also gotta protect my son. That's the weight no one sees." The months leading to trial were fraught with tension. Discovery documents, pretrial motions, and forensic reviews stretched into late 2026. Each procedural step became a story in itself, amplified by online sleuths who scoured court filings and public records for clues. Surveillance footage, license plate data, and witness testimonies were analyzed in real time by fans and media alike, creating a parallel trial of public opinion. Every detail, however small, could be spun as evidence of guilt or innocence, loyalty or betrayal. Throughout, the Prince family remained disciplined, blending public statements with private preparation. They conducted internal reviews of every angle, ensuring that J. Prince Jr.'s role in hosting the party was fully contextualized. They highlighted acts of care, washing blood from Takeoff's hands, securing Quavo, and providing transparency to investigators. These details often contradicted the viral narrative, but required patience to disseminate effectively. Clark's legal strategy, meanwhile, remained closely watched. His team's access to local knowledge and prior ties to the Prince family allowed them to challenge witness credibility and examine procedural actions meticulously. The optics were challenging. To the public, it looked like the family might be indirectly aiding the defense of the man charged with killing someone they loved. In reality, legal experts explained, this is a common strategy in high-profile cases to ensure fair representation and prevent procedural missteps that could compromise justice. As the court date loomed, J. Prince Sr. shifted focus slightly, offering a message to the hip-hop community: protect your culture and those around you. His plea resonated as both advice and warning. Stop slipping, man. Take care of you and yours. One split-second decision can erase decades of work, he said. The statement captured the duality of the tragedy. A moment of violence destroyed not only a life, but also threatened the public trust and perception of a family empire built over decades. By the time November 2026 arrived, the story of Takeoff's death was no longer just about a shooting at a party. It had evolved into a multi-layered saga of grief, loyalty, social media misrepresentation, and legal intrigue. Each day leading to the trial added pressure on the Prince family to maintain their narrative, counter conspiracy theories, and preserve the memory of a young artist lost too soon. For J. Prince Sr., the tragedy was intensely personal and historically significant. He had weathered storms before, but the combination of viral scrutiny, conspiracy theories, and a murder trial involving someone linked to his family was unprecedented. His challenge was to navigate this landscape without compromising truth or integrity, all while grappling with the grief of losing someone he considered family. The Prince family's story illustrates a modern tragedy, the collision of old-school loyalty and new-age viral speculation, of real-world violence and online myth-making. The trial of Patrick Xavier Clark would not just test legal arguments, it would test public memory, media narratives, and the resilience of a family determined to defend both their honor and the truth. And while the courtroom drama awaited, Houston and the global hip-hop community remained fixated, divided between mourning, judgment, and curiosity. Takeoff's death had become a lens through which the fragility of life, the consequences of impulsive violence, and the power of perception could all be examined, no matter where the truth lay. The courtroom in Houston buzzed with a palpable intensity as November 9, 2026 arrived. After years of investigation, conspiracy theories, and viral speculation, the trial of Patrick Xavier Clark was finally underway. Cameras, journalists, and social media reporters crowded the public gallery, all desperate to capture a single moment that could shift public perception. The Prince family, while determined to stay above the chaos, understood that every move, every expression, would be scrutinized. J. Prince Sr. entered the courtroom with a measured calm, a stark contrast to the viral frenzy surrounding his family. His gaze lingered on the empty seat beside the defense table where Clark now sat, knowing the man on trial had forever changed the course of the family's narrative. The irony was not lost on observers. The same legal team Clark had retained, men deeply tied to the Prince family, were now defending the man accused of killing Takeoff. Every headline and social media post latched onto this connection, suggesting conspiracies that the courtroom walls could not contain. The prosecution opened with a harrowing recount of that night in Houston. Surveillance footage, phone records, and witness testimony painted a chaotic scene outside 810 Billiards and Bowling, a dice game spiraling out of control, verbal confrontations escalating, and ultimately, 2 guns firing in the early hours of November 1, 2022. The narrative underscored Takeoff's innocence. He had not been involved in any argument, nor was he a participant in the dice game. He was, by all accounts, a bystander caught in a whirlwind that would end his life. Yet the defense strategy was meticulous. Clark's attorneys argued the shooting was reactive, born from a chaotic environment, and emphasized that Clark himself had acted under duress. They portrayed him not as a cold-blooded murderer, but as a man caught in an impossible situation, a single moment that spiraled into tragedy. The courtroom was charged with tension as they presented forensic analysis, trajectory studies, and witness interpretations, all designed to create reasonable doubt about intent. Outside the courtroom, the world watched. Social media exploded with every twist. Threads analyzed courtroom angles, leaked photos of Clark's legal team drew speculation, and YouTube channels dissected testimonies minute by minute. Every statement made by J. Prince Sr., whether in the courtroom or on podcasts, became evidence to some and ammunition for others. The family's careful explanations, how they stayed with Quavo, provided aid to Takeoff, and managed the aftermath, were repeatedly contrasted against viral clips that appeared to contradict them, even if contextually misrepresented. Inside the courtroom, emotion was raw. Testimonies from those present that night, Mike Prince, J. Prince Jr., and several members of the party, revealed the chaos and terror in real time. Mike recounted how he had assisted in washing blood from Takeoff's hands, how he had ensured Quavo's safety, and how he had tried to maintain composure as the unthinkable unfolded. J. Prince Jr. described the 3 seconds captured on viral video, a fragment of time twisted by online audiences into evidence of cold detachment. He explained that in reality, he had been assisting and supporting, not indifferent or callous. The trial also brought new details to light, deepening the public's understanding of the Prince family's involvement, or lack thereof. Testimonies clarified how weapons were obtained, how individuals acted independently, and how a single decision by Willie Bland had catalyzed the chain of events. Clark's own testimony attempted to separate his actions from the Prince family, asserting that the tragic outcome was not orchestrated, but a consequence of impulsive reactions in a high-stakes environment. Media coverage intensified the drama. Headlines oscillated between outrage, speculation, and sympathy. Prince family at center of Takeoff murder trial read one. Inside the party that ended in tragedy, blared another. Influencers, music journalists, and conspiracy theorists dissected every aspect of the case, further complicating the public's perception of truth. The viral clip of J. Prince Jr., once a source of online condemnation, became a recurring point of discussion, each replay reinforcing or undermining narratives depending on the commentator. Throughout the proceedings, J. Prince Sr. remained unwavering in his defense of both his son and the truth. On multiple occasions, he emphasized the disconnect between viral perception and reality. Context matters. Time matters. The public sees fragments. We lived it. We were there. We acted. We stayed. That's the difference. His words resonated in the courtroom, and yet the social media machine continued its relentless churn. As the trial unfolded, the emotional weight on the Prince family was immense. They were not just witnesses or observers. They were central figures whose legacy, reputation, and family name were intertwined with a narrative that refused to simplify itself. J. Prince Sr.'s grief was palpable. Every recounting of Takeoff's final moments brought him back to that night. Yet he balanced mourning with strategy, ensuring that the courtroom proceedings stayed factual, grounded, and focused on evidence, not rumor. One pivotal moment arrived when the defense highlighted inconsistencies in witness accounts, raising questions about how police collected evidence and how social media shaped recollections. This line of questioning reminded everyone that memory is fragile, and public perception even more so. For the Prince family, it was validation that their years of clarifying misinformation were essential, not just for their own reputation, but for the truth about what happened to Takeoff. As the days progressed, the courtroom became a stage for broader discussions about responsibility, influence, and legacy in the hip-hop community. Testimonies explored the responsibilities of hosts, the influence of viral media on public perception, and the consequences of one impulsive act that led to the death of a beloved artist. Each witness added a layer to the complex narrative, reinforcing the tragedy while illuminating the human decisions behind it. The trial climaxed in emotional testimony from J. Prince Sr., whose words carried the weight of a father, a mentor, and a grieving figure. He detailed the day of the party, the celebration meant to honor his son, and the devastating aftermath. He spoke of Takeoff's life, his talent, and the void left by his death. He confronted the media's distortions, explaining how fragments of video and sound had been twisted into false narratives. Every statement underscored a singular truth. Takeoff's death was a tragic accident catalyzed by a series of choices, none of which originated with the Prince family. Outside the courtroom, fans, media, and commentators continued to debate, but the trial provided clarity for some and questions for others. The Prince family's consistent narrative of loyalty, aid, and context offered a counterweight to viral distortion. Their message was clear: the night was tragic, but their family's actions were guided by care, responsibility, and love, not indifference or malice. As jury deliberations began, the gravity of the situation became tangible. For years, the story of Takeoff's death had been fragmented across media clips, conspiracy threads, and viral commentary. Now, the focus shifted to evidence, testimony, and legal argumentation. The Prince family watched, hoping that the truth, long obscured by speculation, would finally be recognized. In the final days of the trial, J. Prince Sr. offered a message that transcended the case itself, a cautionary tale for the hip-hop community and for anyone navigating the intersection of fame, influence, and human error. One decision can change everything. One night can erase decades. Protect your people. Protect your culture. And when tragedy strikes, act with care, with love, with truth. Takeoff's death had sparked grief, anger, and outrage, but it had also exposed the fragility of narratives in a world dominated by social media. The Prince family struggled to defend their name while mourning a young man they considered family highlighted a truth often overlooked. The collision of perception and reality can be as devastating as the tragedy itself. And while the jury would decide Patrick Xavier Clark's fate, the broader reckoning, the legacy of Takeoff, the role of the Prince family, and the lessons of that fateful night in Houston was already imprinted on public memory. For J. Prince Sr., the journey was far from over. His grief remained, his resolve hardened, and his plea for care and protection of the culture resonated louder than ever. As the final gavel approached, the story that began with a party in Houston, escalated by impulsive decisions, distorted by viral media, and fought over in courtrooms and podcasts, remained a cautionary tale. One night, one bullet, one choice, forever altering lives, reputations, and history.